I don't really have some source that just all my motivation comes from. It's just something that I'm really passionate about and really want to do. I just have the drive to get better all the time. So against like the Chiefs game, I should have 1v9 that game, and every night since that day I've pretty much just lay in bed thinking, God, I'm so trash. Like I had the best matchup in the game, the best matchup that I wanted. Like those are the type, Zed and Nikolki, something that I would dream about playing, and I got to do it on stage. And if I was a scrim game, that would have been like a 20-kill game, and it's an easy win. But
As he dings level 6, I'm expecting the all-in. You can see a lot of damage.
Ooh, he gets the ignite a little earlier. Now there is that level 6 on with the death mark, looking for it. Should not be enough,
Got
but
it.
maybe that's just barely.
As I mentioned, like Chaz needs to be able to kill Claire to make this pick work. Nearly got him there.
because I fumbled it and I let everyone down, like that gives me motivation to play better. So next time that matchup happens, then you can guarantee we're gonna win.
Well, I'm down for a boost if you want to go.
Pura?
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait for the others.
You want to wait for others?
All eyes on Chaz.
This is my legacy 2.0. Mark, you got any interesting stories for the camera? Interesting stories? Nothing like in the car. Yeah. We get to be there for that.
True. Those are two bangers.
This Dracula's legacy?
Yeah. This is my legacy. We're here for 30 seconds. You guys are doing weird shit.
That's not weird.
That is. Give me some content, some legacy content, yeah! This is my legacy.
I'm only here for that.
Episode 7.
I get fired sometimes.
What are you looking at? Fraternizing with the enemy. Before we pwn them.
We need video content, man.
Look at that, you don't like Jews filming himself?
Boys! Fire up, lads. Boys! Our whole team is
We're gonna win today.
Our whole team is like centered around pumping media out.
Alright guys, today's the day that we start to differentiate ourselves, I think, from the other people trying to get in the gauntlet.
Cockroaches.
Yeah. I think winning today puts us in a really good spot and it lets everybody else know that we mean business. Yeah?
Yeah.
Alright, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go 3. 1, 2, 3!
Legacy! Why does it seem like...
But I want to we just want to quickly touch on, it's the first time, first weekend of EA, how do we feel about it?
Hey.
When you realize the carries when you get better, did you just back off and go, well,
That was
one of the biggest surprise content.
I think the
things really get loose when Tim isn't here.
Gravitas versus Legacy. How are we feeling about this one? We have all tipped
Gravitas.
We have?
Gravitas.
Yeah.
We have indeed.
Alright, because I saw a really good pro player do it on Jace. If we pick me Jace, I'm building 2 Ghost Blades.
He was a little bit tankier. That's going to be a Riven locked in for Pat Price, so very interesting.
We have seen him do this. Now, it didn't win the last time around.
They're not
They
starting.
might look to do the Baron.
Yeah, do you have blue trigger?
I can push a bot.
Someone's in there,
Someone's in there. They're not doing it.
What's the plan after this?
I'm not sure. Can you threaten the end if we just hold like this?
If you just keep killing Silas, we win the game.
Yes, correct. Do we want to fight or am I ending?
You can end. You can end.
Okay.
Look for steal.
We actually just lost.
Yeah, we did.
That is a sad way to lose the game. Holy We can still make gauntlet, I'm pretty sure.
Orbs. Sorry, Chaz. For Saturday team. You guys had the opportunity to be grouping up, especially when they were starting Baron. And we definitely could have had those fights.
I think after all our losses, I feel pretty upset just because our early games are just so bad. But this week I came into the week with a lot of confidence and I said I'm just going to play the games how I played the scrim games. But I ended up dying a lot because of it as well. Our motivation comes from just looking at the players in the region and thinking like they're winning and I'm not. Because I think, obviously I think I'm probably, like I'm the best player. So when they're winning and I'm not, it just feels really bad. I feel like, why can't I be winning like them? Obviously I just want to get better in style on all of them.
Welcome back to Snowball's OPL Top 5. Let's dive right back into the plays. Coming in at number 5, Chaz's Oriana wipes Swaith off the map and helps grab his team the Baron.
Capri is going to get taken down by Swaith, and the rest of Legacy pushed back into their own jungle. Guts is still up though, and Swaith gets turned around. There's no smite on the Avant side. Shockwave will pull in the Zillion, but they just can't kill Ian. And it looks like Legacy trying to push it forward. Aladora, Gunkrab, both incredibly low. They'll finally find purchase.
That is an incredibly hard force from AV, and Legacy with no hesitation will respond now. 4 people strong, jungler and support dead from AV. They chunk this Baron.
Strutting into number 4, Topoon shows off his basketball skills by netting himself 2 more kills.
The apprehend on the Chippies, and in comes Babip. They knew that they could make the play here. It's turned on to Swaith. However, there's the stun for Topoon. The chain's on the opposite side. They need to turn their attention. The dunk comes in a little bit too short, but they do finish it off with the bleed nonetheless. And Topoon cleaning up for the double with a little help from Babip.
And after the worst level 1 I think I've ever seen in pro play for a top laner, he had got killed on the first wave, had to burn teleport, had to burn flash, and died again. Now Topoon has got 4 kills in a row. He's up 20 CS and is a monster. This is a Darius you have nightmares about.
Charging into number 3, Ryoma gets himself into the flank and gets his team first blood.
Yeah, they're going to be wanting to get this team price up. Now Topoon is going to be forced to ult away, but look at Ryoma is there to block him, and he goes for the abscond. This is going to be a 1-2-3 punch for first blood given to Mimic.
And you can just see Topoon had absolutely no idea that was coming. Mimic just walks at him with the E, channels the ulti, and multiple members are walking up. Babip is on the other side of the map, walking out of base. Trickle's still in lane, and he just dies ultimately for free.
Coming into number 2, Topoon steps up when his team needs him to, stealing away the Baron from Gravitas.
Smite at the right time. They've stopped the aggro, looking to possibly turn this fight. In goes Topoon! He gets the steal! Mammoth take away the Baron! And Gravitas win the fight, but they have to feel so frustrated.
And Topoon making such a case for Rookie of the Split, has the spellbook, swaps to the smite. Lantern over the wall, and ultimately he dies, but who bloody cares when you steal away the Baron?
Taking the number 1 spot, Ayla flanks Avant and sets up the fight that nets the Chiefs 3 kills.
Waiting for the cow, the inhib's gonna fall, not quite yet.
3
and in
people.
they go, closing the traps, that's the last breath, and Chiefs are looking for the big V here. Shock is finally gonna fall down, and it's Swaith and Aladoric out of there, but Chiefs close the net.
It's just an action-packed game, you know, the Righteous Glory hits the flash headbutt pole, 3 people, it's just pretty. From the Chiefs, that's the team fight you're after.
And that's your OPL Top 5 for week 6 and 7. If you're interested in more League of Legends content, visit snowballesports.com.
I don't know, but we're on camera. Hello, welcome to day 1 of week 8 of Split 1 for the 2019 OPL. My name is Nick Richardson.
He's mixed up the order.
Have I?
I think you did. I'm not certain, but
day 1
I think you
of
did.
week, no. Day 1 of week, etc. of Split. Oh, no, I didn't say
not.
Split 1.
Yeah, okay. maybe.
You're right.
But
I did mix it up.
There you go.
My Bridges just has his head in his hands right now. How are you, boys?
Pretty good.
Sorry, I got to
feeling
introduce
pretty
you.
good.
Ejim, Spawn, Jake, Bryce.
Yeah.
Whatever
Hey,
you want to be called.
Nick boy.
That's me. There you go. That works. How are you?
I've had a rough morning, Nick.
Really?
Yeah, I certainly have.
Why's that?
So Bryce and I fly up from Melbourne together.
It's already
And
bad.
we got to the airport, and there was no parks in long-term parking. So
Yep.
Bryce and I, we bumped into each other in our separate cars, not literally.
I was walking, he was
metaphorically.
driving.
Yeah. Well, I was following you for a bit, trying to snake a car
I had
park.
no idea.
Yeah, so we're following each other around. It took us like 20 minutes to find a car park. That's bad enough, right? I'm already, I didn't get to have my Krispy Kreme donuts like on the way into it. It was a little bit rough. So then all of a sudden I get off the plane and Bryce is like, oh, we're going to go into the city. Like, yeah, no worries. Like, that's near where Riot is. Like, we're going to catch the train.
Beautiful.
Not beautiful.
No.
Trains are awful inventions.
It's true.
I had to sit on 2 separate trains today.
Oh,
disaster.
I'm surprised you made it here.
I am too.
What? Like, can I just say, Jake is the biggest whinger of all time. I literally almost missed the flight. I didn't check in for the flight, and I got hooked the hell up by the lady at the gate.
Yep.
And then I was on the same
Which
train.
I was upset by, because that's not secure.
He was complaining about taking the stairs. This guy wants to go escalator everywhere. He's just a chronic whinger.
So are you complaining because normally you would be in some sort of like private limo service?
Air conditioned.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Speaking of air conditioning,
damn.
it may be 45 degrees in this room.
Might be. I'm a bit red.
Now, can I ask a question before we get on to the important League of Legends stuff?
Yeah, okay.
I don't want to start the show blue. It's toilet talk. Is it supposed to burn? No.
What is going
So
on?
I was walking here today. I had lunch with a friend. It was lovely. Realized I needed to do whiz bombs. There was no bathroom nearby, so I walked past a pub, and I was like, I'll just duck in here and go to the bathroom.
Yeah, okay.
It was one of those bathrooms where the urinal has the grate, like on the floor. No one's ever taught me the etiquette here.
You stand
do
on
I
the grate.
stand on the grate?
Absolutely.
Or do I stand in front of the grate and
No,
and the
because
grate is part of the like.
The thing
falling
is if everyone doesn't stand on the grate, then they're ruining it for everyone else.
Yes, but the thing is, everyone doesn't stand on the grate.
So be a good citizen. Set an example
one for
for
the
us.
team.
But my question is, isn't the grate merely like if I can't pee mere centimeters in front of me? Like the grate is basically saying, you know what? Don't even hold on. Just let it go literally between your feet.
This conversation needs to end.
Like I've already defiled myself enough to agree that as a society we're all happy to stand here and pee on a shared piece of wall. Now I can't even be bothered to aim. It's just like I'm just gonna dangle. Like that's what the grate says.
And soon
to me.
we're going to have milk teats in all of our houses.
I think
what's wrong with society?
I think we should be at least 4 feet back and just it's an arc. They are designed to be stood on.
Absolutely.
Ugh, I don't like that at all. What do you guys think? Let me know on, I don't know, Instagram. Send me your pictures. Something else I need you to send me in questions for Nick Box. We're going to be doing that tomorrow. I need your questions. Go to asknickboy@gmail.com or don't go there. Just send an email there. We'll read the good ones out. Wildly successful.
Yeah.
The fans love it. They're getting
I
involved.
love it.
Bryce loves
I
it more than
love
anything.
it. I'm a big fan.
I'm going to say you are the person who's most enthusiastic about most segments.
Thanks, bud.
You're my favourite.
Yes.
You're definitely not his favourite. His words said one thing, his actions over the last 7 weeks tell a completely different story.
Thanks, Nick boy. I appreciate the honesty, because clearly we're on the same level. Jake has no idea what he's talking about.
You know why I'm saying this?
What?
You know why I'm saying this?
Okay, hit me. Why?
Because your dad's probably watching, and I want to make a good impression. If you want to make a good impression on your friends, you can join the high school league or the uni clubs. You can become a successful League of Legends amateur, going pro.
Absolutely.
And we could be talking about you as, potential rookie of the year, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. Who knows? OCS is about to start up as well,
Yeah, it
around the
certainly
corner.
is.
You know, uni league or high school league into OCS into
Get
bloody
started.
pro league.
Yeah, I played League of Legends in high school a little bit, but I was just playing solo queue. So now there's an actual system to play with your mates. It's a good time.
It is a good time indeed. And speaking of good times, we are in for a good time this evening because we have 4 games of League of Legends for a change. Let's go through the schedule.
We can do that if you want.
Right, Gravitas versus AV is going to start the day off in what should probably be a banger of a match in my eyes. Bombers versus Legacy game number 2. Mammoth facing off against the Direwolves in the 3rd game. And then to round it out, it's going to be Chiefs versus Order in game number 4.
I would say game 1 definitely match of the day so
Yeah,
far.
game
1-1 between Gravitas and Avant Gaming. They are within touching distance, although, you know, Avant with the 3 wins. This is kind of that 2-point system, though. If you take a win off them and give them a loss at the same time, certainly can be impactful. I just don't see it happening, unfortunately, Nick, so we'll have to see.
All right. Well, there you go. You've called it already. Before we move on,
we're doing Kiwi tips or something now?
We're about to do tips. I realized there's someone I forgot to introduce.
He did introduce himself slightly.
Did he? I wasn't quite sure.
Slightly.
Yeah. He's mugging the camera. He stole my single shot. You know him. You love him. It's Bailey.
There he is.
Ah, hey, Bobby. He seems to be wearing some sort of badly fitting fedora. Sorry, no, not a fedora.
Necktie.
It's a cape.
Yeah.
It's a cape. Sorry, it's a cape.
He's too
It's
chunky
Superdog.
to actually wear it properly. He's
Yeah.
actually, he's
There
actually
he is.
stolen
There
something
it is.
from Rusty's wardrobe. If we could just get another look at Bailey,
They're matching.
and then
That's
another
actually a
look
sleeve.
at Rusty.
There you go.
Absolutely
There we
the same
go.
shirt.
That is just beautiful.
Aren't we twins?
Wholesome.
Beautiful.
Wholesome.
My pet, Bryce, kind of dressed like me today as well.
Are you
I
kidding?
think that's
I
nice.
actually have a shirt that's much closer.
Striped
You picked
shirt,
the wrong one.
black shoes.
God,
I've,
you're
of
a
course, got the powerful
piece of
black
work.
boots.
You have
I've got
black
the pathetic
shoes on
white
at the
shoes.
moment, Bryce.
Can we not blame my shoes, please? Let's
Certainly not as clean as mine.
Oh yeah, just because he bought new shoes, now he's trying to flex.
You
on
literally just took those shoes out of the box.
He
I don't
genuinely
think that
just bought
counts.
them.
Why does that not count?
They're very nice shoes, though.
Thank you.
Well, I'm saying you can't boast about the cleanliness of a shoe because technically you haven't done anything to earn that reputation.
Okay.
Yeah.
That reputation belongs
You
to
have new shoes, not clean shoes.
Adidas.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on with the first game. It is Gravitas versus AV, and that means it's the first round of spicy tips, which today apparently are not spicy tips at all. They're delicious tips because we've been told the loser has to eat kiwi fruit.
8 kiwis.
And kiwi fruit is delicious.
I actually don't eat a lot of kiwi fruit.
Oh!
So, wait.
3 Gravitas.
Wait, Nick, I'm looking
And
at
a legacy?
I'm looking at Nick. What have you done here?
He's trying to come back.
Yeah, this is
he's trying to come back.
Every week, I get yelled at by one of you idiots on cast, and mainly it's you or Rusty, and saying, "Oh, Nick, you have the safest tips in the world. Oh, your always tips are just so predictable. It's just I know exactly who's going to win." So I thought I'll change it up and I'll tip underdogs this week. No, that's the punishment. Okay, the loser has to lick this bit. Yeah?
Can Bailey?
Okay, now the
he's
loser has to lick that bit. We'll save that. That's a pyra kiwi fruit if ever I've seen one. So it is a very spicy day today. So there's a lot on the line, though apparently not, because you, me, and Rusty
all eat kiwi fruits that way
with the skin on. That's just how we consume that product. I guess eat the sticker. I don't know. This is getting worse and worse by the minute. So let's just throw it over to the desk for game number 1 with your casters, Rusty and Pyra.
All right. Yep. All right.
That happened.
I will say that eating the kiwi fruit with the skin, I've done a poll on this as well. We are the overwhelming minority in this, yet somehow 60% of this broadcast team does it. So
It's a bit of a strange broadcast team, but you know, I like kiwi fruit, just not with the skin on myself. So I'll be with the crowd there, I think.
yeah, perhaps for the viewers at home, it's a punishment, but not for us. Maybe
Yeah,
you.
having to watch that, I think, definitely would constitute a punishment. But this definitely won't. Watching Gravitas versus Avant, it's going to be an absolute banger of a match. And we're into picks and bans, Rusty. We have got Thresh and LeBlanc taken off the board right away.
Yep, I can't even see the thresh. I'm going to move the paper that is on the desk
Move the paper.
so I can see the screen.
Good stuff. There you go.
All right, and Lysandra, of course, taken. So with 3 bans in here, LeBlanc, a very early ban away. It seems to be very targeted at Hayri here so far in this draft from Avant Gaming.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Harry has been one of the players on the Gravitas side that has been stepping up very big in their wins, and he's done it on assassins like the LeBlanc, the Yasuo, those things. Makes a lot of sense from the Avant lineup.
It definitely does. And of course, note that during this pick ban phase, Silas will not be seen, so don't be shocked when you don't see it in the bans.
Currently globally disabled at the moment. Taking a look at the last ban for Avant, will it be another mid laner targeting at Harry? No, it's the Alistar. That makes a lot of sense. Big decoy champion.
In
Back over
Season
for the
1,
first
maybe
pick.
we might have seen Alistars picked in the mid lane, but not anymore. Goodbye, Shushay.
Oh man, that has been some time.
It's been a lot of seasons.
You went back to the ancient history. Something that isn't ancient history, though, is the Rise that gets locked in quickly. Now, that is, of course, a flexible pick. But I believe Harry has picked it up on a number of occasions.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you would expect that Parbu's a man of many skills here, and one of them is being able to play those carries, though we have seen a lot of tanks for Parbu, as that's the insta-lock of Nico.
Is that the Nico top?
I don't know, Pyra. We're one pick in, man.
You're an expert, dude. I expect you to know all the things.
What I know
No, it's
about
probably not.
Nico
We'll see.
is that Nico can go anywhere.
And be anyone.
I think one of the few champions that I would say can play 4 roles.
Holy moly.
But maybe that's my bias because I play Nico every day.
That is totally fair. Wasn't that like your challenge at the start of the split?
No, that was Ivern.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Nico can be Ivern as well, even temporarily.
Yes. It's not my challenge at all, though, Pyra.
Definitely not. Well, let's see what else gets locked in here because we've got the Jace coming out for the Avant lineup, and over on the Gravitas side, they round out with the bottom lane. It is a extremely safe duo comprised of the Ezreal Tahm Kench.
Yeah, absolutely. Ezreal TK locked in here. Now, one big thing about this lane is not only is it safe, but it can move around the map successfully. It's very good in the middle lane as well. When you hit mid-game, you plant their feet down there, and they can go around the map very easily. As we've just gone for a Zac lock in here. 3rd pick from AV's side.
Yeah,
Why picking a jungle? They'd want to have to ban some away now.
And this is with Swathen, by the way, as well. And Swathe more known as the aggro, go in, all-in jungler. Yes, Zac can do that, but he is also a big tank and spend more Sybil's territory.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, if you think way back to when Swathe was playing in the Challenger Series as well, Swathe and Sybil were both known as 2 Zac players, so not massively shocked to see that one locked in for him. You think back to old, but you're right. You know, as of late, Swathe has been a big carry jungle player, so it's curious to see him get the Zac. Even more curious to see it picked blind.
Yeah. Avant Gaming, no shortage of surprises for this team. They are, as many teams have stated, one of the hardest to prepare for. Gravitas, no exception there. Now, bans still coming through. Looks like they're not convinced that that is a jungle pick because the Evelyn's banned.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be the case here. Perhaps Gravitas have some ideas of what AV could be trying to cook up, but AV still with the jungle bans, trying to give them the best Zac matchup they possibly can. It's curious that Gravitas will actually go with jungle bans themselves and play into that.
That is really interesting. Let's see if it continues here. There's still one more ban available for Gravitas. Avant will ban away the Kayn.
That is probably the funniest ban you'll ever see from someone like Swathe. Getting rid of his signature champion as well. Evelyn removed Karthus, another one that he definitely loves to play and go towards. If we're just going to ban our junglers and keep going, why not?
That have been banned against him as well, and that's always a really fun one. So it's up to Gravitas. Let's see what they decide to answer with here. You can see a lot of communication happening in the backdrop. Juve's very vocal component of this new esports squad. Last second ticks down into Syndra ban away from Shock. That's been a pretty signature pick for him.
Absolutely, and with the Ryze there as well. Getting rid of Syndra is nice to have. Of course, Ryze goes for that tier early in his build and doesn't always have the capabilities to proc Aftershock during the laning phase, just given that Syndra can stun from an extra range, some further distance away. So I think that's a good ban, the Syndra. It's a strong takeaway from Shock. You think back to how he played against Mammoth, put on a clinic. And now we see which direction they will choose to go here, AV, and it's a Rek'Sai.
Okay, so we've definitely had a little bit of trickery for sure in this Avant lineup. The Rek'Sai locked in, that ought to be the jungle choice, but now that begs the question, where the heck is the Zac going?
That's something we'll have to see answered as we get to the last pick, because we're not even sure where Nico's going right now. Pyra?
No.
AV have pulled a weird one.
That is an understatement, absolutely, and I think Gravitas still trying to find a few answers themselves. They do get a lock-in of a Nocturne. That's a champion that has experienced some popularity here in the OPL. It will go into the hands of Pralus, and this is a much more standard composition.
Yeah, I would say Gravitas couldn't be any more standard. We're yet to see how their composition does round out, however, and it looks like if this hover is in fact locked in, I know the Pabu was a big fan of it. Yorick is going to be the case here, so they've picked themselves up a split pusher. I would say Gravitas as a composition have put something very strong together right now. They've got the capabilities of the 1-4, Nocturne hovering between lanes as well, and an Ezreal Tahm Kench in mid. They can go anywhere on the map very quickly.
Yeah, they can react to almost any and all situations. I like the versatility the Gravitas lineup have brought for themselves here. And now all questions will hopefully be answered as Avant will lock in for their last, the Jax. And I'm just going to try and take a stab at this, Rusty, with my play-by-play brain. I think that's Jace AD carry. I think that's support Zac. I think it's Nico mid and Jax top.
Nope.
All right. Give me your answers.
This has been, I'm just going to put on my AV hat for a half second. This has been the weirdest experience watching this draft as someone that knew what was going on almost from the start. But, you know, where they are now is where they should stay.
You know, actually, I wasn't that far off, actually. I kind of just was like 1 or 2 champions off there. So I like this. This is really, really cool, really creative stuff coming out from Avant. They've outdone themselves as far as different champion choices. I was going to talk about how Avant kind of have the most champion diversity out of just about every team in the OPL.
Yeah,
but they've
for
just
sure.
gone and went up themselves.
And we'll have a lot of time to talk about what their composition does, and we've spoken a little bit already about what Gravitas' composition is capable of doing, and we'll also get some extra opinions, no doubt, on this as we get into the game, but so far I would say a standard composition, a strong meta composition as well from Gravitas, one that I actually really do like, against something that people may not really understand or know at all.
I think that is the big question to take away from this pick and ban. And joining us to dissect it a little bit more and talk about the game plan from the Gravitas side is, of course, Jubes. Welcome.
Thanks. How are we?
We're doing fantastic. And how about you, man? Looking at the comp that Avanta drafted against you, what do you make of it?
I think this is like a very Avant comp. Like Chippy's on Jax is obviously, I think it's like probably one of his most favorite champions after playing with him. I don't think, like, for us there was no surprises, because I mean when you're scrimming and you're seeing like different champion picks, and like I know when you see Nico bot lane, probably the average viewer is like, wow, what's happening kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's like these are things that that are kind of, I guess, popping their head into the meta. I wouldn't say they're like 100% like OP. Like it might be, but I think we don't know enough yet. Maybe. I mean, maybe you do. This is why Avant have picked Nico and stuff like that. But I think it's like, yeah, one of those things.
Yeah, for sure. And talk to me about your composition, so something that you'll be a bit more familiar with as well. How do you think that this composition executes and wins on the map?
Yeah, so I think Avant have a very heavy 4-1, whereas we have a very heavy 1-3-1. And we have like a Nocturne that can kind of attack the side lane. So even if like Jax does beat Yorick in isolation, then like Nocturne can kind of offer that assist from across, not across map, but same side of the map kind of thing. So I think it really comes down to like mid-game execution, and I think it's not going to be a game where who's outplaying who in the team fights. I think it's going to be a game of like heavy macro.
Now, just broader strokes here as we
that
see
really true. I actually couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, this is going to be a hard one for me.
You'll
too.
see the green glimmer for anyone wondering as well.
But yeah, like before we get underway in the game here, I do want to ask a little bit about the stakes for this game for Gravitas and for Avant, because it's currently 1-1 head-to-head. The winner will kind of own that one, heading towards the gauntlet. Are you and the team feeling a lot of pressure from it?
Not really, because I think there's so many scenarios at the moment that can play out that kind of put X in Gauntlet, take X out of Gauntlet, put X in 4th place, that there's too many, and if you worry about all of them, you end up just like not being able to sleep. So it's like, let's just play, because week 10's a super week, so there's 3 games. It's like, let's just wait till week 10. Let's play, let's keep, I would say we've been improving regardless of the results. I say let's keep improving at the rate we've been improving. And then like when it comes to week 10, if we need to win X amount of games, then we'll stress them, then we'll worry. Then for now, let's play with some freedom.
And I've never really asked this of Gravitas. We have with so many other teams as well, but would you say you've built a team that wants to succeed in this first split, or is making Gauntlet like a win for you guys and you were aiming for the second?
So I think when you're going into a season, everybody wants to win. Even if you're like a brand new 5-man roster. So for example, Direwolves, I'm sure if you ask them, they would want it to have win. They would want it to have, I can't even use my words, but anyway, they wanted to win, right?
Yes.
And so yeah, we wanted to win. Now we're in a position where we're competing for that Gauntlet spot. So let's take baby steps. Let's focus on getting this Gauntlet spot. When we're in Gauntlet, yes, we want to win. We want to push to the like basically push the grand final. So I think it's like we have like little steps that lead to our bigger steps.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very insightful. Thank you very much, Jubes.
Thanks,
Good
guys.
luck to the team. Cool stuff. Definitely good attitude from a coach going ahead for a team that is on the cusp of making it through.
Absolutely. Now, we have seen a little bit of movement around on Summoner's Rift. Let me just quickly speak about one of the things that AV have done with their composition. And one of the reasons that Zach is picked as a jungler primarily into someone like Tahm Kench. We may not get a full chance here. They're going to be fighting for the blue buff. We'll let this one transpire first.
Should be smited down.
Going to give
it
it
a
over.
body block onto Praelis.
Good hover from Chippies. Now, the reason Zach is so good into Tahm Kench as a jungle pick is you can come from Fog of War, you can go on the Tahm Kench and he can't save anyone. You just bring him back to the team with someone inside his mouth, right? So there's strength in that, and there's the reason that it was picked in the jungle role. In support, however, it's hard to say that that logic will always be true, particularly through laning phase. And I think a lot of that actually comes down to what can your jungler help the Zach do through this lane.
I think that's fair, and we'll have to see how this bottom lane kind of shakes itself out. Now, talk to me a little bit about the Nico as well, and what this will bring in the AD carry position, in your opinion, Rusty.
So we've seen a lot of Nico starting to pop up, and like Juves highlights, it's not in meta at the moment, but it is starting to pop its head out here and there, you know, and start to rise up to power. Nico's one of those champions that, in my opinion, I personally love because she has a crowd control spell before level 6, and not many AD carries do,
Speaking
as
of crowd
they
control,
are going top.
Pabu is going to get found out, but he does dish a lot of damage to Chippy's, forcing him to flash back, and Pabu
He
is
might
completely
kill him.
ignoring Swaith here. There's a flash follow-through in the unburrow. Pabu's going to get turned around. Still waiting, still walking, and it looks like we may not have first blood after all. The Prey Seeker comes as a parting shot.
At the end, it's a flash trade, but 2 for 1 is the trade. Pabu just putting in some serious work, getting the damage down. Yorick is one of those champions that has a lot of lane control. You hit the E once, and the ghouls start screaming and jumping on top of you, and there's not a whole lot you can do to trade against that one.
It's just a very oppressive and frustrating thing to lane against. Chippies is going to have to back, possibly spending his teleport on the return fire, and you know, I like watching Pabu when he's on carries, when he's on split pushers. He feels like a different player.
It's refreshing. I wasn't a big fan of watching Pabu in the Sion Urgot meta. It just, you know, he can play the champions. I'm not discrediting Pabu as a player, but it doesn't feel like it's him, you know? And it is refreshing to see him back. He's one of the people that has been playing a whole lot of Nico in solo queue at the moment. So
that's why I was asking about.
I wouldn't think they'd be too shocked, Gravitas, to see a Nico, or surprised at what it does by any means.
Yeah. Of course, as far as the top setup goes, it does make a lot more sense that Chippies would be on the Jax, since that is one of those picks, as Juice was alluding to, that he kind of goes for. And you know, Chippies as a player, he seems to kind of have this set of champions he really likes, and he always does interesting things on.
Absolutely. He's also got some depth of personal champions, not just meta style as well. You know, he can play the meta, but at the same time, he finds himself picking the Jaxes, picking the Olafs, you know, that not many other top laners will go towards because they just work for him. Yeah, that's right. It changes everything to what he knows is best for him.
Okay, Aladoric threatening once again. Still only level 4 in that bottom lane. We should probably expect to see more action up in this top for a little while, because Pabu will have a chance to continue to bully out Chippies, but he does let the wave push in.
Yeah. No Summoners does actually put a big target on it, especially for Praelus, who I honestly think may just go hard at level 6 farming. Like, try and get there as fast as he can, and then top lane's pretty easy to go for with the gank. Now, I'm not going to say easy to kill, because it's a Jax, but it is easy to go for.
Yeah. It is worth noting that Praelus did get slowed down for a little bit due to the fact that Chippies and Swaith comboed up to steal his blue.
There he is, level 4.
Speaking of, Praelus is coming in now, and it looks like Chippies knows something's up, but has no flash. Sends out that spooky trail, and Chippies just walks right on through it. There's the smite going down, and the hop. The ghouls will harass him for a little bit, but he's going to be zoned out under tower, and now Swaith will pass by a ward, so Praelus knows exactly where he is.
Yeah, they know where each other are, of course, trying to clear the control. I think Swaith's just going to try and bully him off that one. No flash on the Rek'Sai makes this hard.
Ooh,
Shock,
Shock
actually.
comes in.
Yeah, they were collapsing, so he has to run away.
Yeah, sends in a hymn blast.
And look at the difference between junglers right now as well. If you think back to the fact that they did get a gank off on the Rek'Sai, yet he still has a CS lead that's significant. That does actually stand out as a pretty good early movement so far from Swaith.
Yeah. And this is kind of what I've been talking about with Swaith and comparing him to Sybil. Obviously, it's a little bit of a different playstyle, a little bit of different tendencies. It makes a lot more sense to see him on a champion like Rek'Sai that's going to be more gank-focused, that has been coming back in vogue as of the most recent patch.
Absolutely, and of course, like we mentioned, don't discredit the fact that Zac isn't a champion for him or something. He can still play the Zac.
Yeah.
It just is Swaith more, you know, to see that Rek'Sai. It feels more like it's him, at least in this split of the OPL.
Yeah. Definitely, all bets are kind of off when it comes to Avant drafting. I've learned that just about anything can happen over the course of the split. I've lost track of how many unique champions everyone's played. I think I did a count this morning, and I'm like, yeah, Shock's got a ton.
Recall.
Here we go.
Stops the recall.
Swaith is coming in. They turn on to Chippies once more. He gets locked into a cage, but Swaith will tag his way in. First blood surely incoming here, but who is it? It's going to go to Pabu, taking down Chippies, and it looks like there will be a kill matched here. Swaith and Pabu now dueling it out, level 6 versus level 7.
Win?
The ghouls are evening the odds, and Aladoric's looking to come in. He went for a big old roam.
Yeah, Jason Rise also trading with each other. Action just happens everywhere, Pyra. But at the end of the day, it is just the single kill for each team. It looks like first blood, however, did go to Gravitas, so they get that extra 100 gold.
Just a bit.
There's a lot of map movements currently happening.
Both supports here, close to the mid lane. Level 5 on the Zac, so he can't go bouncing back, and Harry sees that one coming and turns it back around. It's been a quieter mid lane, but everywhere else has had some action.
Absolutely. Bottom lane is one place that we haven't spoken too much about, especially regarding the CS difference currently. Ezreal doing very well, but the way that the bot wave has been moving right now is that it's ebbing and flowing with big stacks of minions. You know, like right now, it's moving for Gravitas. In a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes, it's moving for AV. And this has been bouncing back and forth constantly. And what this means is that right now, the past minute of movement around the map from Decoy has actually been pretty forced where he loses a lot of experience. So there'll be a lead that is pretty big for Raid in experience, where Alidoric's able to catch some under the turret.
Yes. And not just Alidoric, Guncrab as well. You mentioned how one of the things that you like about this Nico 80 carry pick is that she does have some CC. A little bit of it layered on meant that Alidoric could stick on. Raid can get a little harassed. Yes, he's going to be able to heal it up just fine, but those things do add up.
He's going bouncing.
Yep. I loved it.
Alex
Zach just inflates himself.
Alidoric's one of the few players that I will see always do stuff like that. He loves it.
There's the swallow up. Going to be hard to pull off the 2v2 kill in this bottom lane, but as you pointed out, Swaith makes an appearance in the bottom lane. It's not actually him.
The real Swaith. Actually, they do know there's a ward on it. The real Swaith is doing the dragon.
Yep.
Guncrab's just keeping him busy.
This is a pretty big dragon, actually, right now, and this should go the way of Avant. Smite it down, easy peasy. Ezreal not able to get involved, and that's a very important one, the Infernal getting picked up for Avant.
Yeah, there's no big jungle difference in terms of items right now either. It's a stopwatch over the boot, so just choices in terms of runes from both players. Once again, trying to be cheeky here a little bit is Guncrab. You'll see a lot of him transforming into people. Double Zac is probably going to be the staple. If you pretend you're the engage, you've got some threat.
Yeah, we're going to see a fair bit of that, I imagine. So for Gravitas, a lot of this will be the mind game for sure. Definitely looking forward to see once the landing phase ends, what Pabu ends up doing, because as you pointed out in the draft, he's going to be a big split pusher. He can be a pretty latent threat. But so can Chippies on this Jax.
There's a lot of threats just through both comps, really. You know, like Chippies can be a threat on the Jax, but Pabu on the Yorick is always going to be one. His split pushing threat is significant, as the True Shot Barrage does go wide.
Bit of a whiff there.
But you look towards top lane, as both primarily want to be split pushing, as actually we're engaging.
Alidoric jumps forward, forces the swallow up on.
Good play from Gravitas.
Really good back and forth. Now up in the top side, Pabu going to use his Ghoul here. Brings a couple more in. Praelis is in the area, so is Swaith. They're actually going to go all in under tower. Pabu getting very aggressive. Not quite an even trade. Chippies does get taken a little lower, but Swaith is here now.
And the fact you can do that under turret is one of the key strengths that a Yorick will have, because he's not hitting you. It's the Ghouls. It's the Maiden of the Mist. We're going bottom again.
Yeah, we are. And this time, it's another fake Guncrab, and he just fades out of existence. Raid is going to get swallowed up there. But yeah, I wanted to talk about it. This Yorick, this new Yorick is...
I know where you are.
A whole nother level at this point. Watching him be played by these pros, like that old adage you'll remember. I mean, you certainly will, this version of Yorick.
You know, like, you've played it in solo queue, you've seen that one guy that's a Yorick main, you're like, this champion is ridiculous. But you don't often get to see that used by pros or in pro play. It's similar with Riven, you know, you watch the Riven solo queue play, it's like, man, that guy's nuts.
Yeah.
Like,
And then you see Paprise just soloing against Gravitas last week.
Seeing pros do it's awesome as well, and it really does cement the fact that if you're just good at a champion, you can make it work. But Yorick's one of those champions that also has come about very nicely when the tanks came in on top side, and then people were, hang on, he's just good.
Yep. Checking in with a couple of item buys right now, as you pointed out, fairly even across the board. A couple of Sheens and Ninja Tabbies picked up in the top side. Frozen Fist is completed for Raid's Ezreal, though, and on the opposite side, Shock has got himself a Ghost Blade. Things are starting to come online. It's a slow build, though.
Yeah, I mean, Juves also mentioned this in the interview. He believes the mid-game's going to be the biggest part, and it's hard to disagree with him, especially given how the game is playing out currently. It's been a slow, farm-heavy early game, building up to a mid-game spike. Big item point, breakpoints is the thing that you're always going to look towards, as Praelis absolutely cops one in the noggin.
He does. I wonder who's going to be the first to try to go all in with like the 4 of their members or so, because I don't expect the 2 top laners to get as involved as we've seen in other games. But both of these teams have a lot of engagement tools. You look at the junglers in particular. You also look at Alidoric and Decoy.
Absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of the engage for AV does rely through the bottom lane. You know, they have a lot of poke. They have a split pusher, but their bottom lane needs to be even at a minimum, you know, to be able to threaten those engages. On the opposite side, Nocturne just pressing the R button is a form of engage, and I know that doesn't really make sense too much, but you ult onto someone, they're out of the fight, you've got a stopwatch, and the darkness removing vision is the primary feature there. And then you've got Rise W as well as some lockdowns. It's not a hard engage composition, it's 1-3-1. And so what you look at with Gravitas is, how does the 3 fare? You know, how can the 3 go if the opposing 3 has engage? It's always going to be what we look at. So Ezreal, Tahm Kench, they're going to have to play out of their minds to avoid a Zac and a Nico running at them.
Yeah, and a second Nico, in fact. But you can see Gravitas not really getting fooled a whole lot by that. Prellis is hanging around in the mid lane here onto Shock as Harry
Sums
will make
are
a
up,
move in.
but they potentially can dive here as well.
And it's going to be that. He flashes immediately. Does get chased away, so that is a flash burn for the ultimate. Darkness of Prellis.
Yeah, the respect flash used as bottom is going again.
And this time they go for the Tom Ken. She's a lot easier to pick up, and they bounce him back. There's the True Shot Barrage. Pop Blossom up, and Decoy has gone golden. Pops his gray health on. Guncrab is very low here.
Yeah, Raid doing a lot of work.
Alidorix had to body block a fair amount of damage, but that will mean the back from Decoy, and both his summoners are burned. Only Alidorix's Smite is answered for. Meanwhile, Avant are going to go for a 2-member push onto the Rift Herald, and Prellis sniffs it out.
Pabu's coming, and so is the Maiden of the Mist. I don't know how much they want to take this fight, but they are hunting.
Chippies is on top of it, though, and he's going to get moved back and around in the midst of his Counter-Strike. That will get taken down. Shock comes in, but they might pay for it with their lives. Harry has locked up Shock. Realm Warp coming through. He doesn't even need to take it, and they keep going. The Maiden of the Mist even comes on in, forcing the Blast Cone away. Avant are running.
And they get the flash from Chippies as well. Good follow-up from the mid laner of Gravitas. Doesn't even need to flash. And Shock not having his own from the Nocturne gank does aid them into getting that kill. Now, during this time, of course, the Herald was taken. The Herald was secured. But Gravitas have also rotated their Tarmkens to mid lane, and they'll get some damage on the turret. So once again, doing some very good work here.
And they force Raid to flash because he was 1v2. This is the problem.
Just so back and forth. That, like, summoner spells are being used everywhere, but hardly any of it is resulting directly in kills.
And Chippies is forced back away from tower. Pabu might be able to secure the first one here for Gravitas as the Jax has to back away. It is very close, as you pointed out, but you can see a gold lead starting to accrue for the Gravitas lineup.
You'd say a lot of that's through their solo laners right now as well. I think if you compared junglers, Swathe would have a lead. Objective control, Swathe would have a lead. But the solo laners of Gravitas are doing it almost on their own, getting those CS advantages. Raid's been doing a lot of good work in bottom lane as well. And it feels like they have just been playing their laning phase very calmly, very collected, and very well.
That's true. Saving grace for Avant and the rest of the map should be the fact that they've been able to maintain 100% dragon control here. The second one that goes down is the Ocean. There will be another Infernal when it comes back up, but you have to think Gravitas are going to try to fight that.
It has been a very weird battle of, objectives versus lane control almost. There's been some rotations from AV early through mid and through top to secure the objectives, secure blue buffs away from their opponents, constantly threatening, constantly pressuring. And this may be the first moment where it actually results in something.
We'll see it. Alidor goes back in. He gets a couple to kiss, and here comes Guncrab with the Pop Blossom combination. Raid gets spat right on out. Alidor taking a lot of damage. Raid has absolutely nowhere to go, and he gets followed through. They continue to stay on to Decoy, flashing forward. 2 kills for the Avant.
And immediately the Herald gets summoned, but look at the trades in mid lane as well. Pabu is rotated. His top lane turret is already killed. He's been doing very well, and he comes mid, tries to get it, doesn't. That does mean that the bottom lane turret should crash here with Nico. And we finally see some kills for AV, as it has resulted the summoners being used in an advantage finally.
And that flips the gold lead right now. It's going to grow even further well with Alidoric coming through. Won't even need to get the demo proc on it, and Shelly's still charging.
And note with Nico on your screen as well, you just saw down the bottom left, she hasn't put a single point in her Q. She has gone for just W and just E in terms of spells leveled. And this is something that you'll see from a lot of the Nikos running in the AD carry role. Of course, that is not Rek'Sai, that is Nico. You saw it again. And the thing is, E, at max level, if it hits the empowered stun, is 3 seconds long. It is Morgana tier in terms of how annoying it is. So that is a big consideration as to why you would want to max it first. But on-hit Nico needs W max for the bonus damage. I think that's where it gets very conflicting as to, what should I max or how do I do this? And no points resulted in Q.
It's interesting to see how things kind of change around. Let's check back in with a couple of our items. Speaking of the Nico, the Blade of the Ruin King had come in since the last time we touched upon it.
The makings of a Guinzu's Rage Blade as well will be the second item. On the opposite side, however, Raid with a cheap item build, being on that Ezreal, being able to go for Iceborne Gauntlet and Manamune is very strong right now, especially when that evolves. A lot of Ezreals will evolve around the 19 to 20 minute mark if they've been spamming those Qs, and I think Raid certainly has been.
Made even cheaper by the Kleptomancy and the slightly magical footwear. Meanwhile, Pabu and Chippies continue their battle on a different side of the map. Down to the bottom they go. Maiden in the Mist is going to get popped by Chippies, but look at all the damage he's dishing by hurting these minions into the towers.
It always feels like a time bomb, though. When you're against the Jax and you're a Yorick, the Maiden is actually a large portion of your split pushing power. Whenever the Maiden dies, it feels like you can't split push nearly as effectively. And so at this point, Pabu's doing exactly what he needs to, exactly what his team needs him to do as well. Break those turrets, threaten the lane whenever the Maiden is up. But you can see Chippy's getting more and more confident to step up and kill it. And that's what I mean when I say there's potentially that time bomb happening.
Also, the fact that Swaith is there is going to help out. Pabu can't really necessarily go for the 1v2 situation. Gravitas going to try to hold the line in other parts of the map, but you can see the focus has been topside. That's where their strong point is. That's where they have the vision mostly secured. And Avant are going to combo up. They should be able to fire this one down without a whole lot of recourse. Chippies might be locked in the pit, but I don't think he really cares all that much. He will hop away at the end of it. Pabu going for a chase now.
Yeah, I mean,
they don't
there's
see
also
anybody.
Tom Kench here.
Oh, they brought them all. Looking for Swaith. He tunnels out, flashing forward. There's Pabu. True shot. Swaith is going to two-step it, but he can't get out of the pool this time around. And he is going to go absolutely nowhere. Smacked with a shovel.
Almost got out of it there, but had no health remaining, so he does go down. Very aggressive from the jungler of AV. Choosing to use his P shooter while under the turret, I feel like is just very weird coming out of him. Instead of going for the objective itself, they choose to put damage down, push Pabu away. But we've already highlighted this through the draft phase, how easy it is for a Tom Kench to just waddle on down, use that ultimate, and immediately be there to impact the play.
Yep.
Quick reaction.
Let's talk about the Dark Procession being such a low enough cooldown to where you can pop it up twice in that fight. I mean, Pabu has been able to lock down people. That's a big part of it. CC heavy.
Is that his W's name?
I believe so, yeah.
It's the Ghoul Wall.
Yes.
I don't know why it's called Dark Procession.
It should be
That's
called
just
Wall of Ghouls because we have Wall of Pain already for Karthus.
Coliseum of Ghouls.
Dude, I don't know. There's weird names for a lot of abilities.
Dark Procession's not good. That's my opinion on this.
All right.
How does a viewer hear the word Dark Procession and be like, ah, yes, Yorick's W?
Technically, it's the halting of a procession.
You
No one
get
can
what
go
I
forward.
mean.
Yeah. Ooh, Avant.
Could call it Shadow Realm.
That's what happens when they smack him with the shovel. That's where they get sent. All right, Dragon's going to get started up. This time, Gravitas are in the area.
AV forcing.
Harry has teleport, and he's on the top side of the map. He might go for it. AV going very fast. They want to get in. They have to go for the steal. Here comes the Paranoia. Down into the pit. It's going to get smited away by Avant, but the fight is going to be on. Swaith has found Raid out. And let's see who's going to get the better of him. It does mean that Raid gets the kill on this one. And Avant are going to get scattered to the winds here as the Realm Warp coming through. Decoy will come with as well. Will anybody get away from this? It looks like Aladoric is going to get popped down. That's two members running away, but Gravitas are going to chase for as many objectives as they can.
And you can see how hard it is to team fight when Nocturne just presses the darkness and how scattered it feels like AV are when those fights happen. They just get picked apart.
This
and
is
now
Baron.
They have gone straight to Baron. AV should be aware, but can they even stop this?
Swaith does not have his life for another couple of
I
seconds.
don't think they
Aladoric's
can.
on 15. This is going very fast. Avant, they get the Dragon, but they're going to lose so much more for it. Gravitas with an incredibly decisive play. Grab a Baron sub 22 minutes.
Very good from Gravitas. Now the cost of that play for an Infernal is super high. And at this point with the Baron, Yorick can continue to split push. This Rise is monumentally large. He's going towards the Frozen Heart build as well. We'll see this fight again. Teleports from the backside. Raid has the 1v1 with Swaith, who tries to exit the pit, finds an AD carry. He flashes over, and now there's no team fight left for AV. It's not a front-to-back play by any means. They were trapped in 3 different areas. And committing 5 people to a Dragon play, and then as a team choosing to disengage in scattered directions, is always going to result in these kills happening when you're against so much mobility, inclusive of the Rise ultimate and the Tom Kench ult.
Yeah, this is pretty massive right now. So lead and pretty much the map control goes the way of Gravitas right now. The question is, what can they do with it?
We'll soon find out. Of course, Maiden now in the bottom lane. Sapabu actually has that lane control. The outer should fall. Mid lane and top lane outers have already gone down for Gravitas. It's the inners that is on their mind for certain. I think it will involve having a dive of some kind here.
Might just be. Meanwhile, Pabu on the bottom. You can see Harry getting collapsed on the top. Let's see if he can get out in time. He's just going to get knocked all over the place. Nowhere for him to really go as the rest of Avant are on top of him. But it does take a lot of time, and 4 members, which means mid-tier 2 is going to get fired on with impunity. Bottom tower, Pabu still pushing on Chippies.
Yeah, most certainly going to hurt them on the rest of the map here, AV. Nocturne still with the ultimate means that Chippies has to show a lot of respect and be very cautious as all of Gravitas start to rotate down here. It was an 800 gold shutdown that they get on Hayri, so they'll be happy with the outcome. But really right now, Gravitas still controlling the map, still trading.
It was a hefty investment from Avant to shut down the Rise. Definitely worth it, but You're right, it is a fair amount of back and forth. This is, I think, the most significant gold lead we've had in the game so far.
It wouldn't be far off.
Yeah, 3,500. 4 towers to 2. Avant, though, the thing that is in their back pocket is that extra 16% ADAP. And you talk about time bombs with the Jacks. Well, how about the time bomb with the scaling AD and AP?
Can the observers show us what the next dragon is? It's up in 2 minutes now.
That'd be nice to know. Let's see. Swapping over, and
it's a mountain. That is important.
Ooh, that is pretty big.
Yeah, it's not a third Infernal, which was always going to be the concern for Gravitas. Giving that many stats just sucks, no matter the case.
Yeah.
And it could have been the arena with which a fight took place.
Still mountain important to try and knock down those dragons and any further barons that come along the way. Not to mention, if this game does turn into Elder status, that obviously is always going to be important to have some more dragons. But we're a ways away from that. Avant will look to go in. On to Raid. They've caught him, the flashing, and they're going to abduct a couple of these members. It is the gang squad coming through for Avant Gaming, and they knock down the duo lane of Gravitas.
And that's what a Zach can do now. Level 11 has the flash available to slap them to each other as well and bring them back to the team. And suddenly they find themselves with 2 kills. Baron gone from Gravitas. And that 3,000 gold lead that was there does just stay at the same amount, doesn't extend with the Baron any further.
It's a great combo for Avant, too, to combine up with the Pop Blossom from Nico, because there's really nothing you can do to get out of that.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, Nico isn't primary engaged by any means, and a lot of people, especially when playing mid lane, will get that vibe. A single spell could perhaps knock them away from you, but that's why you have something like the Zac, maybe a, even an Alistar perhaps could work down there as well.
Deliver the champions for the ultimate.
That's it. You need crowd control. You need to be actually able to set the Nico up for the ultimate to hit, because she wants to be dealing DPS anyway, auto-attacking with this build. So the ultimate is just a part of a combo.
Take a look at the gold right now, see where a lot of the differences are, and we could see Swaith has maintained a lead over Praelis, but it's kind of more than made up for on the opposite side. Raid with his Kleptomancy has been over Gun Crab and his out farming. I mean, the bottom lane has been actually doing pretty solid this game overall, despite the fact that they just get wiped off the map by the gank squad of Avant.
And they still have sums up as well. That's how cleanly they were taken apart. No play available, unfortunately, for them on the opposite side. Now,
here's Mountain.
Mountain is up and available.
It's going to be a solo, or rather a duo effort here by Avant. It looks like Gravitas aren't going to fight over it.
A good force of lane control here in mid lane from Pabu.
Hold on
Summons the maid and forces it. This is happening again.
There's the paranoia. We've had some flashbacks. It's going to get taken down. Smite was missed, but didn't matter. Shock secured it. Now the fight's on once again, and Avant just getting delivered into the waiting arms of Gravitas, but can they turn it around? Low health bars, redemption all around. Raid starts it off by taking down Swaith. Chippies is going to hop, but he's going to drop, and that's going to be a 2-for-none. Can they follow through? Realm Warp not taken, back to mid lane.
And it's 1 minute and 15 seconds till Baron. Gravitas may have just ran straight there again if it was available. This time, not everybody dies from AV, so they will get the reset off. But can they stop this push? I feel like Harry and Raid may just be too strong.
I think you might have something there, Rusty. Pabu going to be leading the charge in the front line, throws down the big ghoul wall, and they've walked in, taken an inhib tower. Can they take the inhibitor as well with 10 seconds still to go on Swaith? Gravitas do not feel that they have to worry about the counter engage.
Very clean counter here from Gravitas. No hesitation, honestly, on the counter plays that they're making every single time. They know where they need to be next. That is a sign of a team all on the same page, and that is the one thing that Gravitas have been doing exceptionally well. However, when you look at the state of the game, that inhibitor is good to take. It does help a lot for mid lane priority when setting up for the Baron that is up in 20 seconds, but they've reset and everyone knows. So it looks like we may get one more fight in the middle of the map to see who actually comes out on top in this game. Praelis comes in, doesn't get it, it's the Jace that steals that away, uses his stopwatch, uses his flash, but keeps the Guardian Angel. And the rest of this fight is all just about disengage again from AV, and Chippies has to be sacrificed for the cause. Harry not enough health to commit himself to the follow.
Yeah, it just kind of feels like Avant are missing the forest for the trees in the sense that they spend a lot on the dragon, but they just can't turn a fight because they group up for this engage, and they are securing the objective, but then they're dying. Decoy is forced to flash away as Aladoric hops, so that's a good trade.
May have to ult. You want to ult over that wall. He's going to be pushed away, but no health, so perhaps a reset forced. In the scope of things, at the immediate moment, a flash for a reset is kind of worth it. Gravitas should be able to get control of the Baron area.
They've been very decisive when it's come to going for plays, going for objectives. They do a lot of damage. They did it at 21 minutes, 28 and a half. Definitely not bad. They obviously won't pull the trigger here, though.
So this is that point where you look at the items and you look at the control or differences between these teams. If it's a protracted, if it's a long setup, if it's a fight for vision, there's a whole lot more control wards available for AV. But because the control in terms of like momentum, feel on the map, general strength of champions belongs to Gravitas, they may still be able to brute force their way into these areas on the map. However, I do worry for them if they don't get some resets in and some control wards on.
And they need to stop their towers from falling. Pabu's going to knock down another one up top. He goes a little deep into enemy territory to do it, but doesn't get punished. Harry, meanwhile, shepherding a lot of minions down to the bottom, and Chippies doesn't want to 1v1 the Rise. He's maybe a little more happy with the Yorick right now.
Yeah, that's the kicker. I've mentioned this once already in this game for Harry, but he has completed the Frozen Heart, that's its name, now. And that makes him so hard to deal with in a side lane against two physical side lane champions. So the 1-3-1 actually is very smartly built here by Gravitas. It means that AV may be the ones who feel pressured for the Baron and maybe the ones who start to try and force the plays. But in saying that, they have a Zac, so when you think about it, forcing plays in the scope of things, very achievable.
True, and we've seen it happen time and again, but the difference between the way both teams have been engaging seems to be Avant kind of really like these hit-and-run tactics. They grab a couple members quickly, it's clean. It's just assassinating, really. Like, they've got the hit contract out on the Gravitas members. Gravitas are just scrapping. They see an opening, they go for it.
They're capitalizing on AV's want to go for objectives, which is fair as Praelis is caught.
Yes, he is.
Fights on.
He turns on the darkness once again. The Zac is going to get popped down to blobs. Teleport coming through. Praelis going to move in onto Shock right now. Pabu has joined the party, and it looks like the Guardian Angel's going to get popped. Chippy's nowhere for him to go except hopping away. Once again, he's going to get taken down, or is he hopping away? Avant kind of dancing out of danger right now, and it ends up being a 1 for none. Make that 2, and that's the smite. Gravitas, turn for the Baron.
And that is the jungler gone. Note that Praelis has 0 health to his name and no Guardian Angel, so he's just going to be here for the smite. But because there's no smite to oppose them, that will be the Baron secured. And you would have to say Gravitas with this second Baron should be in the driver's seat to finish this game off.
Absolutely. 30 minutes on the clock. They take a decisive lead here. And while that was all happening, Avant had to contend with super minions inside of their base. Chippies will walk away with the red buff. Consolation prize, if anything, right now. And Gravitas in the driver's seat.
Definitely are. Now, for the rest of this game, I would feel like no one can contest the Rise too well if that Void Staff gets finished soon, if it is a Void Staff after all. Raid is just monumentally large. Very hard to contest him with the range that he has as well in advantage for him.
Yeah.
As it's a third Infernal. If ever there was a reason to give it one last crack, prevent the Baron from being used.
There's no paranoia this time. It's going to get started up by Avant. Pabu going in, getting rooted on, but he turns his ghouls, and that's the defense. That's the back away.
Harry's killed him.
Popped. Harry just drops him like it's no thing, and the true shot barrage finds its mark. They're going to take down everybody. Double kill, flashing forward. Raid's still looking for more. He wants to take him out, and there's the cooldown off. Praelis is going to spend it. Praelis gets turned around. He's knocked out, but Raid is not done with this one, Rusty. He's still going for it into the base.
And that may just be game over. 30 seconds here for Gravitas to push forwards. A cute attempt from AV, a cute draft from AV, but it feels like the good standard League of Legends may just come out on top.
Does seem to be the case.
After the
20 seconds still for Avant to try and save the game. Only Shock left to defend. He goes golden, but he is going to be going goodbye in just a moment. Tries for the power slam, but he gets knocked back down. And that is going to be it. Gravitas will take the win here and go 2-1 in the tiebreaker over Avant Gaming in Week 8.
Such a big deal for Gravitas here. You think about it at Week 8, going up in the head-to-head. Fighting for that gauntlet position as well. That's exactly how you want to start the 8th week. Get that head-to-head advantage over AV. The team above you in the standings. It means that you don't have to be a point ahead of them with wins. You can just match them on the ladder and you get above them.
And that was such a decisive series of plays from Gravitas. I think we've seen them pick these comps that have a very obvious style. We've seen them go for the big Yasuo Wombo combo and get stymied, not be able to make something happen. And I think this is a team that definitely runs on some emotional momentum. We see Juves hyping them up in all the videos on Twitter and things like that.
Juves just yells a lot. He's very good at it.
And you can see that this is a team that makes decision. They go for it. They go in. And it worked out this time around against a very tricky squad of Avant. And that has to be such a massive boost for your morale.
I mean, it shows for Gravitas at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what your opponents are drafting. You can draft for yourself as well, right? Like, you know what they're going to go towards. There shouldn't be any crazy surprises, though it's always possible. But you pick yourself something you're comfortable on, and that does matter the most in the end.
Right, absolutely. Let's see what the couch has to say about that one. It was definitely a banger of a match.
It was a banger, and I would like to take credit for it. Because
okay.
At the beginning of my extra spicy tip week, I feel like I put some good juju out into the world. But it wasn't all me. It was also a good draft.
Absolutely. I think that I had one criticism of the whole draft, and that was a Nocturne pick. Because, like, in my head, I'm looking at this, and you've got, like, the key makings of a really good 1-3-1. Your top lane and your mid laner do different damage types. So it's really hard to itemize against it if they want to go a pure tank to kind of lock up one side of the 1-3-1, then have hard engage later in the game. And then they had Tahm Kench's Ezreal, which is like the best 1-3-1ing bottom lane because you can take your Ezreal to the side lane even if you're a little bit weaker. And we saw that actually when Chippies and Swathe were pushing under Parbu's turret. We saw them get a massive shutdown onto Parbu and really breathe new life into him. But I didn't like the Nocturne because Nocturne does Tahm Kench's job in this comp. And you're like, well, that's not a big deal. Well, it kind of is if you can't get the priority to then therefore leave somewhere with Tahm Kench, and because the Zac could just keep engaging. And we actually saw the couple of little windows where Avant nearly won that game was when Zac got free engaged. I would have liked to see something like a Gragas jungle, Sejuani jungle.
Yeah,
they could have blocked that.
Yeah, they can block the E, right? Because I also think like Nocturne fairly weak jungler in the early game, and like if you just have a hard tank to be able to like Nocturne needs the team to somewhat play for him to be able to get his camps to come online. Whereas like a Sejuani, Gragas, they can play much more of a facilitator role. But this game really came down to like Gravitas playing hardcore. We play for the comp. We pick like negative bottom lane. We pick for the side lane, and we're just going to play this style. And AV like. Pyro said it was a cute draft. Like, this is Nico on Hit Nico that we've been seeing in solo queue. Hasn't been played in competitive yet. This is the first time in the OPL, right? Yep. They've been that team that is playing this stuff, and I feel like ultimately it is like a bit of a mixed bag. They have a Jace, they have a Jax, they have a Nico, they have all of these things that are kind of like if they don't get ahead enough in the early game, that game somewhat was on a clock.
Yeah, and then unfortunately, like I've been so hype on Swathe, but I kind of have to call him out this game a little bit. I've said previously he looks like kind of the best Oceanic jungler in the league outside of Volcan. When you go Rek'Sai and you have a Zac bottom lane, you should be able to punish the Tahm Kench. As soon as that guy doesn't have a flash, like he should die like 4 times in that 5-minute window. And their only way to win that game is if somehow they can guarantee mid lane priority. Because otherwise we saw the map just folds like as soon as Gravitas has any of that. But he really tried to get Jax ahead of the Yorick, which everyone at home would be saying like, what are you talking about? Spear of Shojin Jack like destroys everyone late game. Like, yeah,
Shojin.
Exactly right. But it just never beats Yorick. Like to be brutally frank, like in a comp game, as soon as he hits the ultimate, Yorick's going to put a little baby cage around him.
Yep.
Then just going to run around in circles to the ultimate.
Baby raging in the baby
cage. Then he's going to start just throwing ghouls at him again. And those ghouls, man, they do so much damage. So I just think like, even though the draft was a little bit wonky, I think like Avant from like 3 weeks ago probably would have recognized that and played to it a little bit more. But the Nico Zac just couldn't do enough. And I think it's because Swathe didn't really give him all that many games.
All right, well, from that to someone who escaped the baby cage, it's Parbu.
It was throwing it down. What are you talking about, Nick Boy? Parbu, yeah, that was such a crazy decisive game from Gravitas. And before I get into stuff about you personally, I want to ask, what was different today than I've seen in recent weeks where you guys kind of like, you hit the go button and you go for these plays, but this time it seemed like there was zero hesitation.
Well, as a team, we've had a lot of breakthroughs recently. We knew exactly what we wanted to play this week, how we wanted to play it, and we just decided that like the ultimate element that was like going to put us further was like trust in each other. Like we're all very talented players, but like the cohesion was lacking a bit. So we've been really working on trust recently and like committing to plays as a team, and it seems to be working out for us.
And that seems to happen regardless of what anybody throws at you. The Avant lineup was all kinds of crazy town, and you guys weren't phased at all. Juice mentioned that he kind of expected some of this. Was there anything from them that actually did surprise you today?
The Zac third definitely surprised us. We weren't expecting that. We knew it could have been playing support, so we had an inkling that like that's what was going to happen, and we drafted around it. We banned Eve as well, even though we saw the Zac. But like that really threw a spanner in the works. We were planning on like destroying all their engage, but then they first 3 Zac, and then it's like, oh, they actually have a way to play against our comp. Like they can do things. So that was a bit of a surprise, but the rest of the comp we were pretty much expecting it.
Certainly. And let's talk a little bit about your guys going head to head now. You have a 2-1 over Avant, which has to feel pretty good. But going into this, do you feel like you're in the form that you're ready for the gauntlet, or is there still things to improve on for Gravitas?
I mean, there's still a lot for us to improve on, but I think if we keep up like the level of play that we can show, we showed it versus Mammoth, both Bombers, both Chiefs, like we can be like a very high tier team. We're not there yet, and we've still got a lot to go, but we definitely can contest for the top.
Now, for you personally, you look like a different player when you're playing things like the York, when you're playing carries as opposed to the Scions, the Urgots, that kind of thing. How are you liking this meta?
It's pretty fun. Top lane's really whack. It's just like no one really knows exactly what to pick, like what to blind, what to counter pick with. So it's good fun. You get to put a little bit of your own flair into the game. So I was super happy to be playing Yorick today.
Now, sending people to the baby cage into the Shadow Realm. Let's send it back to the couch to see what they think about that one.
I want to bring back the Pabu Malphite. That's what I want.